Hello, good morning and welcome to Thoughts and Updates for this week. Eagle-eyed amongst you will notice I'm still in the house. I'm not out and about, although hopefully I will be later. There's a couple of things. I've got Keris here for the weekend, so we're looking at either going in to listen to the National Theatre of Scotland's Ghosts, which I've been asked to review, which is in the Merchant City, which is a walk round, or nipping across to Edinburgh, because apart from the fact that I've not been there for God knows how long, we were talking about which is the better city, Glasgow or Edinburgh, which starts off, of course, a huge debate, probably more indicative of the division within Scotland than Rangers and Celtic. However, I would suggest if you really wanted to know how bad it was, you watched Kevin Bridges' description of people from Edinburgh. So, I'm not out and about, but I'm back in the house, and it is. I was just coming out of lockdown on Friday. We were allowed to travel around Scotland if we don't have a particular reason for so doing. Beforehand, it was only in cases where it was vital, and of course that allowed me to go and get Keris from here and bring her back up here and take her back down, as I will do later on tonight. But it means that we still restrict ourselves quite rightly, and with over 50% of the population of the United Kingdom now vaccinated, and the numbers dropping quite dramatically, it would appear that the vaccination has managed to make a massive difference, which is good, which means that we're closer and closer to some kind of what might be normality. But again, I hope that the normality is something that we're going to strive towards in a new dawn, rather than a similarly feeling place that we were in before we went into all this malarkey. So, writing this week has been as usual wonderful self for Talking Boys. Up went flashback and fast forward yesterday, musing upon the Williams Andrade fight, as well as the card from last week, which included the Jake Paul Farrago and Fandango that happened, where he believes that he is a real fighter, akin to the likes of Mayweather. Tommy Fury, because he has also got a huge social media following and is a boxer, has, through Frank Warren, responded to the call out from Jake Paul and says, let's get it on, 50-50 split, let's get it on. I don't think Jake Paul will go for it, because I think that he recognises that his brand is more important than his ability. However, that would be, I think, quite an exciting fight to see last night. Bentley and Cash came to a crashing end as Felix Cash won the British title and retained his Commonwealth title in York Hall on the BT Sport app, which was fascinating watch. Also, David Adelaide, the heavyweight, struggling to get past Kamil Sokolski, which suggests that his boast that he's the best ever might not be 100% true, but he's learning. I've been writing over the last couple of days for Ringside Report. My TV's alias Smith & Jones, a 1970s American Western series, which I loved as a child. Also, my boxer for the past is Johnny Verderosa, a guy who, once he retired, there seems to be a really sad story, and there seems to be a very positive one. So it's difficult to know to which side you're going to give most prominence. I've also written about Ghislaine Maxwell and her appearance in court for 10 minutes in New York over the 6 sex trafficking charges, and I think there's a couple on perjury as well, and the influence that her family, especially her father Robert Maxwell, held over the British press, and how he was reported for Scottish Football Supporters Association. I have looked at Rangers' response to the 6-game ban meted out to their 5 players for COVID regulation. They breached it. So they have appealed, they've lost their appeal, but there's something at the heart of the state of the SFA appeal process that I think is simply wrong. My scurrilous piece, my funny wee look at Scottish football, is about Hearts trying to decide whether or not they were going to lift the trophy this week. So this week we'll be getting back on reviewing for Fringe Review. The Brighton Fringe is due to happen, and there's some online offerings that I'll be able to review from up here. I'm looking forward to it. So this week, what's it been about? Well, here's the thing that I've been musing upon this week. First of all, the return of snooker for me to watch. It's something I loved growing up. I fell out of love with it for a period of time, but having to sit for ages and ages marking this week as a kind of little distraction off in a corner. I've been fascinated by Ronnie O'Sullivan, the world champion, being knocked out, and yesterday John Higgins losing his battle of the Celts, where he was knocked out by the Welsh former champion Williams. So really fascinating and interesting, but I've also had in my ears to distract me the wonderful Carlton Hobbs playing Sherlock Holmes on BBC iPlayer, or BBC Sounds rather, and I spend an hour a day walking in order to help my both my weight management but also my diabetes. Not that it's doing a huge amount of good, I have to say, at times, but Carlton Hobbs in my ears as I wandered round Kirky, listening to the various Sherlock Holmes stories that I know well enough, but are told with such a joy from the 1940s and 50s, I think it was. Just great, a homage to the writer, and done with such care and wonderment, and it's just fantastic. But these ain't the things with which I have really been conjuring this week. I have been having many a debate with people talking about how we get a majority in the Scottish Parliament for independence. The system that I have in Scotland is that when you vote twice for the Scottish Parliament. The first vote is for your constituency member of Parliament, and that is all about what is it that's going to be your person that will represent the small area, or the considered small area, of your town, villages, part of a city and environs and so on. So it's quite important that you get somebody that is going to work hard for you, irrespective of what political party. I think it's really important that we have MSPs who are constituency MSPs who are going to work hard for you. So your first vote is to decide who that should be. Similar to Westminster and down in the UK government, you vote for the person you want to have. Job done. However, what the Scottish government's election process does is then say to those people, if you've not got the guy that you want, then we take a whole load of constituencies, we put them together, we call them a region, and we put a list together. And what we're going to do is, if there's a significant number of people who didn't get their people in the constituency, you can pick up political parties in the regional list system. So you have a second vote. So your first vote goes to a person who's going to represent you in your constituency, and then your second vote is going to go differently, if you wish, to a political party, and the political party will decide who are on their lists. That allows anybody who didn't get the person or the party that they wanted to have a chance to get somebody who will represent their points of view in the Parliament on a proportional basis. It's a top-up. So if, for example, in your constituency, a political party has managed to win all of the seats, the constituency seats, then there is a possibility that your political party might get a top-up because there's enough of you in the group of constituencies together that give you another voice to go to, somebody who's close to your own political views. And it also democratically represents the overview of people within all of those constituencies. So that instead of what we get in Westminster, if you don't get the guy that you want, or the girl or the woman or the non-binary person that you want, you get nobody to go to. Then you've got a chance of getting people that you want to have. Now, the regional list system is designed to ensure that there is never a majority for one political party in the Parliament, because democratically it was established to ensure that we had collegiate government. But where there is an overwhelming wish for something, as happened 2 elections ago, I think it was 2011, the SNP, the Scottish National Party, won an overall majority because of the overwhelming vote for independence, which of course led to the 2014 referendum, which they subsequently, not just them, the yes vote lost. So the question now is, if I vote SNP for my constituency, how am I going to get another voice in the Parliament who believes in independence? And your choice is threefold. First of all, you can vote SNP again, which means that all of the people who vote SNP the second time will do what happened in 2011. Will ensure that there is a massive majority for people who voted for independence, thus allowing the SNP to form a majority government. And on that basis, can campaign once again for a referendum. That's the theory, okay? And that's the promise that the Scottish National Party have given. And it has happened before. It happened before, and the person who told us what to do to vote twice SNP was a man called Alex Salmond. He's important. Or you can give your second vote to another independence party. Now you've got a choice of two. You've got the Greens, who are currently running about 10 or 11% in the polls, or you've got the Alba party, which is a new party formed by Alex Salmond. Now if you vote Green, then the Greens will get a substantial vote, and they're at 10%, so there is a possibility that they will increase their number. They already have a number of MSPs at Parliament. However, there's a threshold. Not only would you have to vote Green, you'd have to convince all your other pals to vote Green, so that what ended up was that the system returned SNP members for the constituency and a whole load of Greens in the regional lists. If that's a flight of fancy, then a political party that is currently 1/3 of the numbers who are going to vote Green in the polls taking your vote is less likely to provide regional list MSPs. So the voting secondly for the Alba party is unlikely unless you not only convince all your pals, but all your pals' pals to vote Alba to return a second load of independence MSPs on the regional lists. Because the mathematics was designed to stop there being a majority. So dividing the independence vote is likely to end up with the numbers looking great until you got to the Scottish Parliament, and there's going to be a sizable minority in the Scottish Parliament, even a majority in the Scottish Parliament, which is going to be against independence. So that is why on the 6th of May, which is my birthday, I am going to vote SNP1 and SNP2. And I've stuck that on my Facebook page because I believe that that is the only way to ensure that there is an independence majority in Holyrood. Because mathematically, which I am not an expert at, but I have done my own research, it is unlikely that we are going to have a supermajority for independence if we split the independence vote. So, I will update you as to whether or not we go to the Merchant City and we go and listen to Ghosts. I'm going to have to go and listen to it because I have promised to do so for the National Theatre of Scotland, and I have to say I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. And until next week, where I shall, I promise, go at the hoose. So if you get any clean, sensible suggestions, stick them in a box, wherever it may be, and subscribe. Bye for now.